So in this tutorial, I will show you how to create an animated pie chart. Okay, so before I start with the tutorial, this is the example as an outcome, okay, for the animated pie chart. Right, so you can see that when this circle is moving, you have 4 different colors, and then at the end, okay, this is what we call as an expressions control. You can see that the numbers is changing, okay, and together with this percentage for the colors section. All right, so let's start now. So you can start with the last file that we worked together, okay, where you have all of this scene 2, scene 1, the rocket. Alright, so we can start from here. So I'm going to delete everything, okay, so that you will not get confused. Right, so first of all, remember that when you have one animation, when you have a new animation, then you can start with a new composition. So you can either create a new composition from this toolbar, okay, from here, or you can also go to the composition new. So there are 2 ways how to create a new composition. Right, so you can name this as pie chart, and make sure that the width and the height is 1920 1080, and this is for computer resolution. And when you want to change this number, make sure that the aspect ratio is unlocked. If this is locked and you want to change this number, okay, you cannot insert the second value for height. All right, make sure that this is unchecked, so that whenever you want to type in the value, okay, you'll be able to type into the second value for the height. Right, so you can remain with whatever background color you like, then you press OK. So now you are in a new composition called pie chart. Okay, so the first thing is so before we continue with this, I think it's good if you can open from your wiki learning, where I have uploaded the step by step. Okay, I think it's in week 6 to 7. Okay, in the activity infographic, no, I don't think this one, sorry. Okay, week 8 to 9 activities, right, this one, pie chart animation. Okay, so let's do this together with the step by step, so that you will not lost, okay, whenever you work with this file. Right, so the first thing, you must create a solid background with whatever color that you like. So how to create the solid background? You can right click in the timeline, new, solid, okay, and I want to name it as PG purple. Okay, PG is a background, and I'll select a dark background. Okay, so this is the first color for my background. And then after that, the next steps is to create ellipse with the size 500, no fill color, and the stroke is 130, and you can choose dark background color for your ellipse. Okay, so how to create the ellipse is, if you go to the main toolbar, you can see the first tool is rectangle, then you press longer and you can get the ellipse tool. Okay, so you make sure that you press the shift so that you will get a perfect circle in the canvas. Okay, and then how to change the size, in the ellipse one, if you expand, then you can see ellipse path 1, you expand again and you can see the size. Okay, so here approximately I want you to set into 500 size. Okay, and then for the fill, you can click in this fill option. Okay, make sure that it is none, I don't want any color. right? And then for the stroke, you can choose any dark color because this will become a shadow for your pie chart, right? And then the size is about 150. Okay, so later on you can change this value, right? So now we are done with the first one. Okay, the first shape layer, right? And then after that we need to duplicate this color. Okay, I'm gonna name this as maybe um, shadow, right? So now the next thing is we need to duplicate and then name it as number one. Change the color with any color you like, and then you must resize the stroke so that we can see this as a shadow, and the second color is the first color for your pie chart. Okay, right. Then so what you need to do is we need to duplicate from the shadow layer. So how to duplicate? You can either press command D in your keyboard, or you can also go to edit and duplicate. So here you can see that the shortcut key is command D, so it's the same thing if you press from your keyboard, right? So how to rename this shadow 2? You can press enter from your keyboard and name it as 1, okay, because this is the first color, right? Then after you rename, you go back to the stroke, and I want you to change to the first color. Let's say the first color is yellow, right? So this is the shadow, remember? So now you need to resize the stroke, okay, until you can see the second color, right? Okay, so after we resize the stroke, we change the color, we need to add the trim path. Okay, how to add the trim path? Here if you drop layer number 1, okay, you can see, okay, in the contents you have the add, so you press on the add and you can choose trim path. Okay, so in the trim path here, so before we add a keyframes in the end, okay, so I want you to move this header to about 3 seconds in the timeline. All right, so but now my timeline is in second, and this is in 25 frame per second. So how to change this? Okay, if you look at the bottom, you can press zoom in. Okay, when you press the zoom in, then this number will change to second. Right, so here you can type from here 3 seconds, and your header will go to the 3 seconds. So this is a 3 second in the timeline, right? Okay, so this is a 3 second in the timeline. So if we look back and into this step by step, we have to move the header to 3 seconds, and then we need to set keyframes for n, okay, with a value of 100, and start, which is at 0 frames, with 0 second, another 1 keyframes. Right, so now you have moved your header at 3 seconds, and the next step is you click into this n, and the value should be 100. Okay, you have 1 keyframe over here, right? And then next, if you bring this back to 0 seconds, right, I want you to click here so that you will add another keyframes, and now you need to change this n from 100 to 0. Okay, so what will happen is, because we have set n trim parts here is 0, so you can't see anything. Okay, the colors will disappear from the canvas, but when you move the header, it will slowly, from 0%, it will go back to 100, and it will be completed in the 3 seconds. All right, so that's what we do in the trim path. Right, so we have done number 1, And then the next step is we need to convert the keyframe into easy ease so that your animation will look more smooth. Okay, so you can highlight both of the keyframes and then right click keyframe assistant and then easy ease, and you can see that the symbol of your keyframe will change into this symbol, meaning that we have changed the type to easy ease. Okay, so once you're done, then you click again to close number one. So when your layer one is correct, okay, now we can duplicate this for the second layer. Right, again, how to duplicate? You can go to edit and you can see here the duplicate is when you press the command D. Right, so now you have layer number two. So for layer number two, you do the same thing as what you've done in number three. You change the color. Okay, you change the stroke color, and then you select the second keyframe and you change the value from 100 to 65. This is an approximate number, but this number will based on what data that you want to um, add into your pie chart. Okay, so number two, now we need to change the color. Okay, let's say the second color is blue. All right, and then when I expand this number two, okay, and then content trim pass one. Okay, so you have one keyframe here in 3 seconds, so you will change this to, let's say, 65. So you can see that this trim, okay, this blue color, instead of having 100, we have changed it to 65. Okay, and the first one should be 0. Okay, so now if you move slowly your header, you can see that again you will have the blue color and then it will follow along with the yellow color. Okay, the first one that you set in layer number one. Right, so we are done number two. Then you can duplicate again. You press command D in your keyboard and you have the third layer. Okay, so in the third layer you change another color. So maybe this time we can change it to green. Okay, so this is a green color, and you expand layer number 3, content, ellipse 1, and you can see trim path 1. Okay, so for the second value, right, let's see, we change it to 40%. Right, so you can type 40. So right, so now you can see that when this is 40, so you'll be able to see the yellow and the blue color. Okay, so we are done with this one, and then you duplicate again. Okay, and this is for layer number 4. Right, and you will change the second value to, let's see, 15%. Okay, so first, after you duplicate, you change the stroke color. Right, and then you expand content, ellipse 1, trim path 1, and 40% to 15%. Okay, so now if you press the space bar, okay, you can slowly see the animation of all of the colors. Alright, so if you have more than 4 sections for your pie chart, then you can duplicate to another layers. Okay. Alright, so that is the end of part 1 on how to create the circle animation.